Now, I'll be honest, I didn't think we'd be talking about one of the greatest victories in Liverpool's history today, but I genuinely think that's where we're at after that 1-0 win over Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final. So much narrative around this game, around the fact that it's Jurgen Klopp's last season, so a chance to get a trophy on board, and of course the fact that Liverpool are going for a quadruple, so could they tick off the first leg of that? But in truth, I think the narrative that actually comes out of this game is about the fact that Jurgen Klopp is leaving an unbelievable legacy at Liverpool. The winning culture he has created, not just around the first team, but all the way deep through the club, into the academy, and the club as a whole, really. The state he's going to be leaving it in is just, it's a winning machine now, and he has crafted that in his time at the club, and I think you couldn't get a better example of that than what we've seen today. Now, Liverpool up against it so much in so many different aspects. Now, we knew going into this game they had 11 first teamers out, really important players as well, the likes of Joel Matip, Thiago Alcantara, Dominic Szoboszlai, Nunez, Salah. That's only listing a few of them. There's 11 there, and then very early in the game they lose Ryan Gravenberch as well to an injury. He's been coming in to be the stand-in for Curtis Jones and had played really well recently, so yet another setback early in the game. And what Liverpool had to call on was already very thin as well, because one look at the subs bench was a 16-year-old on there in Trey Ione, a couple of 19-year-olds, 18-year-old, a 21-year-old. So it was a bench full of kids, and Liverpool had to pretty much immediately delve into that and start to look to change things after that early setback. So things were really, really difficult for them in the game, and yet I thought, particularly in the first half, they were the better team. I thought Chelsea got a lot stronger as the game wore on, but which is what you would sort of expect across the 90 minutes, on the basis that, as I say, every time Liverpool were making a sub, they were having to bring a kid in, really, and throw them into a difficult situation in a cup final. But they had to do that to keep those fresh legs. And Chelsea, although they've had some injury problems this season, they had so many internationals and experienced players on the bench. So every sub they made brought not only fresh legs, but also quality through for them. Whereas for Liverpool, it was, yes, they were bringing on quality, and these are good young players, but throwing in someone who's slightly inexperienced, and that can make it really difficult, because occasionally they can be overawed by the occasion. But we saw absolutely none of that. It was unbelievable. I mean, Chelsea got stronger and stronger, I felt, as the 90 minutes went on, but I thought from extra time onwards, Liverpool regained the composure. Once they got those fresh legs and the kids on the pitch, they just stood 7 feet tall, and they put in great performances to a man, and then in the end, Liverpool, they got some control back of the game in extra time, as I say, and put themselves in a position to win it. And then they did. Virgil van Dijk popping up with that goal, just absolutely an unbelievable moment, as I say, in not only Liverpool's history, but also another fantastic moment under Jurgen Klopp. And I mean, he said himself after the match that in his 20 years as a manager, this is maybe the trophy he's enjoyed the most, or the biggest win he's had. And again, as I say, it's because of the things that were being thrown at Liverpool. So many tests, as I say, the injuries, and then you're throwing in kids, and then they have a goal ruled out for quite an unfortunate one, really. One of those decisions you don't see that often, and yet they just kept coming. He kept coming, even as Chelsea were getting stronger, as I say, and that towards the end of the 90 minutes, they recovered from that, settled back into the game, and just kept putting themselves in a position to win the game. And then eventually they did do that. And I think, as I say, it speaks volumes for the winning culture that Jurgen Klopp has instilled in this club. It goes from top to bottom. You can throw kids into situations like this and they will not let you down. And Liverpool have seen that today. And I think, it's often said, isn't it, around Jurgen Klopp, that whoever succeeds, and because he's such a great manager and such an icon of this club, that they've almost got an impossible job on their hands. But in reality, I think it actually underlines that his legacy is that whoever succeeds him is coming into an unbelievable situation. Not only have you got a fantastic first team squad there, you've got unbelievable youngsters coming through who've already had a taste of first team football, a taste of winning trophies, and that ability to win is really, it's in the club already. It's in these players. They know how to win, they know how to get over the line, and Jurgen Klopp's been a massive part of instilling that. And I mean, to do it today in the way they have, to pull out a victory in that manner against an opposition that cost £1 billion to put together is absolutely ridiculous, really. And I think sort of sums Jurgen Klopp up, really, as a manager, as a man. And as I say, his Anfield legacy is effectively already cemented. He's got now a trophy in his last season, and there's still possibly so much more success to come, isn't there? Because we know it from in the past, that when Liverpool have won the League Cup, they've often gone on to add another trophy after that, or get on a little run, because that taste of winning, it can give players a boost, and Liverpool certainly need that boost at the moment because of the injuries, need to get some players back, absolutely. But for today, let's focus on the positives and the fact that, wow, another trophy added to the board under Jurgen Klopp, and what a magical moment really for Liverpool Football Club, and a magic moment for the fans really to revel in. What the fact that they've had this genius at the helm, and there's still time left to lift more trophies with him. It's just been an absolute pleasure to cover and watch Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool reign really, and this was, as I say, another magic moment in that. Now I'm going to go through and kind of assess the players' performances as well. Now I would generally in this part of the video talk about the match as a whole, but I actually think it was so hard to kind of assess the performance because of the fact that Liverpool were forced into changes in situations. They were already had this injury hit squad. Every time they were bringing a player on, it was basically a young kid. So all today was about really was winning, and I thought what Liverpool basically got was a kind of even game against Chelsea, which again, when you compare the injury situations of the two teams, was an unbelievable effort from Liverpool, and then that ability to win, that know-how sort of tells through in the end. But I think, as I say, a bit of a difficult game to assess in terms of levels of performance, because I think had Liverpool had the first team out, they would have absolutely walked that. I thought, Chelsea were made to look better by some of Liverpool's disorganisation that was foisted on them really, rather than anything else. So it was just a day to somehow get the win, and Liverpool absolutely did that, didn't they? Now, I'll move on to the players now and go through them individually, and some just fantastic performances. And this is a great place to start for me, is in goal, and a pleasure to talk about Quiveen Kelleher's performance today. For me, the absolute man of the match. I thought Liverpool dominated large periods of the game, but they did give up some decent chances to Chelsea, even though I don't think Chelsea had a lot of dominant periods in the game. But when they did have moments. They carved out some really good chances, and when that happens, you need your goalkeeper to stand up. We're so used to Alisson Becker doing that, aren't we? And now we've got a goalkeeper behind him in Quiveen Kelleher who can do exactly the same. Now, he makes 9 saves across the 120 minutes today, which obviously gives you an idea as the fact he was quite busy, but also I think this is a really good measure. This expected goals on target, so that's the expected goals value of a shot. The shots on target that he's faced across the match, and that value was 2.95 today, so almost 3 goals worth of expected goals fired in at Kelleher, and he still managed to keep a clean sheet somehow. Some of the saves were absolutely out of this world. I mean, the one in the first half from Cole Palmer, there's a double save in the second half where he's just nowhere near the favourite to make them, and somehow gets the ball away. Makes a brilliant one-on-one save from Conor Gallagher as well late in the game, which proves absolutely crucial. I just thought everything he did unbelievably well today, and as I say, I think he's Liverpool's man of the match. There were a lot of very good performances in there, don't get me wrong, but I think what he produced today in this match was as good as scoring a hat-trick, or as close as a goalkeeper can get to doing that. As I say, stopping 3 expected goals. He was just out of this world, and maybe this is going to be his last season at Liverpool. He's now won 2 League Cups, hasn't he? But and probably thinks that his time is maybe coming up now to maybe go out there and play more regular football. But what a treat it's been for Liverpool to have him as their backup goalkeeper, because he hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's now won 2 League Cups. One, he was the hero by scoring the winning penalty, which you would never expect, and this one he was the hero in a more sort of conventional way for a goalkeeper, wasn't he? As I say, my man of the match, and a phenomenal performance from Quiveen Kelleher today. Absolutely brilliant. I move into the defence now and talk about Conor Bradley, and I thought it was hard for Conor Bradley today, because he obviously gets his position moved around as soon as Liverpool get that injury to Gravenberch. He gets pushed higher up the pitch, and I thought he did a decent job there. He's not a natural there by any means, but he kept trying to make those runs in behind like a winger would, and tried to play the game in that way. And I thought every time he used the ball, he used it with quality. He wins 4 out of his 8 ground duels, 2 out of 3 tackles as well. Really good defensive numbers, which you'd always expect from him. His performance was kind of compromised slightly by the fact he gets moved so early in the game, but I still thought, you got what you expect from Conor Bradley, which is typical work rate. Really shut down that side and showed real attacking threat, which is not natural for him, but we know he's got quality in his boots, and I thought we saw that today. And he did a job for the team, which is absolutely what you need your players to do, whether they're academy players or not. you've got to show that versatility and ability to do a job, and he absolutely did that. So a really decent performance from Conor Bradley, and now a League Cup winners medal as well to go with what's been a brilliant breakout season for him. I think the last time he played at Wembley, he was in the Papa John's Trophy with Bolton, so a little bit of a step up from that, and again another winners medal. So yeah, what a player he's been, what a find he's been for Liverpool. Brilliant again today. Now alongside him, two centre-halves I thought absolutely excellent. Again, Chelsea did have the moments in the game, and I thought Van Dijk and Konate had to absolutely be on it at times. I thought Konate in particular seemed really, really busy in the defensive aspects of the game. Some unbelievable blocks in there, actually. Some last-ditch tackles that he makes, they're absolutely crucial in terms of helping Liverpool keep that clean sheet. And he also, Konate, 3 out of 4 aerial duels, won 4 out of 8 ground duels, and 13 defensive actions, which again shows you just how busy he was throughout the game. And Virgil van Dijk similar, actually, 14 defensive actions, 4 out of 7 aerial duels won, 3 out of 3 ground duels, so really, really busy in that aspect as well. I thought a real captain's performance from him, actually, in the way he organised the defence and kept Liverpool going. He needed to be extra good today, really, because the team around him, there were so many changes in there, and especially late in the game when it was a team of kids, you need your leaders there, and I thought Virgil van Dijk was absolutely that. And then the fact he pops up with a winning goal, his second attempt to get the winning goal, because he gets one chalked off kind of harshly in the second half of normal time. He comes up with that goal in the 118th minute. What a moment for him. He seemed kind of emotional actually after that, which I think that how massive a moment that is for him as he's the Liverpool captain. There were questions asked, weren't there, in the summer when Jordan Henderson and James Milner departed. The question was, can Liverpool afford to lose that much leadership quality? And yet, Virgil van Dijk has absolutely stepped up to the plate and shown that, and never more so really than in the last 2 games, in terms of, he gets the equaliser against Luton in a massive moment that tees Liverpool up to win that game, and then he gets the winner today in a Wembley final. You cannot ask for more than that, as well as the defensive brilliance that he showed across the 120 minutes as well. What a fabulous player he is. For me, still the best centre-back in the world at the moment. And he absolutely showed that today. A phenomenal captain's performance from him, and again a pleasure to watch him play football. Now just finish up the defence now by talking about Andy Robertson. I thought maybe that was maybe a controversial pick. It could have been him or Joe Gomez, couldn't it? But I think that decision was made by the fact that Joe Gomez played the entire 90, didn't he, in the last game, and then you had Conor Bradley and Robertson doing that sort of job share to keep them fresh and full of energy for this one. So I thought Robertson, a decent performance. I thought 2 chances created. He only wins 1 out of his 6 ground duels, which I think, it wasn't like he was getting a torrid time, but I did think occasionally they did have a little bit of joy down the wings, Chelsea. That was the area where they looked maybe most threatening. That you could maybe see that in those numbers there. But again, I don't want to be too critical of any player who's in this team today, because I thought, to a man, they worked their socks off, and again, they got over the line and got the victory done by hook or crook. So, maybe not Robertson's perfect performance, but he still did enough to help Liverpool get over the line. Now, move into midfield now, and I thought some really, really good performances in here as well. Really impressive. So, talk about Endo first in that defensive midfield role. Jurgen Klopp wasn't lying, was he, when he said about him that people are going to be surprised by him? I mean, we were saying that in the summer when he'd signed from Stuttgart. It's that people were looking at the fee and looking at his age and thinking, he's not going to be Moises Caicedo, is he? And yet, in a Wembley final today, he absolutely dominated Caicedo, dominated Enzo Fernandez. That 250-odd million worth of midfield is it that he was up against, and I thought Endo was absolutely outstanding in everything he did. He's just a class act. He's great on the ball, really safe with it, can fire the pass through. He's got the ability to drop his shoulder and lose his man, but also all the defensive stuff. I think Jurgen Klopp called him a defensive monster after the match, and that is absolutely right. 4 out of 6 tackles won, 11 out of 17 ground duels. I mean, being involved in 17 ground duels shows you how much he got through there. 12 recoveries, and that work rate is ridiculous, really. The amount of pitch he covered across 120 minutes, he just seemed to be completely tireless. Even when others around him were sort of losing their legs a little bit, he just kept going, kept Liverpool in the game. And I thought his performance really was summed up by a block he made on Cole Palmer in the first half. Right after that Kelleher save, he somehow gets across and makes a block on the follow-up shot, and that, again, a crucial moment. And he really, for me, kind of runs Kelleher close to that man of the match. Maybe he would feel a little bit unlucky that he's missed out there, because I just thought Endo was phenomenal. And again, Jurgen Klopp was right about him. What a signing he has been for Liverpool. Another brilliant performance, and I think he's really, I thought McAllister would be the man in the holding midfield role for the foreseeable, but I think Endo is really making it his own, isn't he, at the moment? And I think that helps also, the fact that McAllister is playing really well ahead of him again as well, and he did that today. 3 chances created, 86% passing accuracy, 4 out of 6 tackles won, 10 out of 14 ground duels won, so he's doing all the good defensive things he was doing in the number 6 in a more advanced position and allowing Liverpool to create turnovers high up the pitch. And he was really, really dangerous with his passing today, really composed in moments when Chelsea tried to press and put pressure on. He didn't allow that to happen, so I thought McAllister was phenomenal. The only reason he comes off is because his legs start to go a little bit at the end, but there's no shame in that because the work he got through, no wonder he was tired, and Liverpool needed to make a change there. He left everything on the pitch, and I thought an absolutely phenomenal performance from him. Really enjoying now watching him in that advanced role, and I think he's maybe proved me wrong because I thought he would be long term in the holding role, but he's absolutely he's flying at the moment in that attacking role and doing really well. And I thought him and Endo absolutely dominated things in midfield today. I thought Fernandes and Caicedo, we didn't see an awful lot of them, particularly in comparison to these performances. They were sort of nowhere near that quality. So I just round up the midfield, or the starting midfield, by talking about Gravenberch. Obviously not a lot of time on the pitch to do much. Unfortunately, he picks up another injury. Let's hope that's nothing serious, because I thought he'd been playing really well recently, back to back in the last 2 games. I thought he'd done a great job of stepping up for Curtis Jones, so hopefully nothing too serious, but he did look kind of like ankle ligaments. He was on crutches at the end of the match as well, so we'll have to see how that is when he gets a scan on it. Bit of a worry, that one, but let's hope he's back soon, because he's a big player for Liverpool now, has really stepped up in the last couple of weeks or so. So yeah, shame for him to get that injury. Now just move into the forward line now and start with Luis Diaz. I don't think everything he tried came off today, but wow, his work rate is ridiculous. Again, 8 out of 18 ground duels won. He's involved in ground duels constantly because he works his socks off, and I thought for me, like I say, not everything came off for him, but I still thought he was maybe Liverpool's best creator in the game, really, because everything he kept trying to make things happen, even if it wasn't sort of working out for him. He completes 5 out of 8 dribbles, which again shows you he was trying a lot, and a lot was actually coming off for him. He gets a few shots away as well. So I thought of the starting front three, maybe the one who played the best and looked the most likely to make Liverpool, or make something happen for Liverpool, or to be the one who got the goal or created it. In the end, obviously, he doesn't, but his work rate across that 120 minutes was ridiculous, and he put so much into that. A massive, massive part of Liverpool winning this game. Move into the centre-forward role now, which was occupied by Gakpo, and I'll be honest, not a great game, I'd say, from him. I think that's kind of, again, it doesn't matter. He did enough to help Liverpool win this game, but just talking about his individual performances, he completes 7 out of 11 passes. Now, the fact he's only making 11 passes kind of shows he's not greatly involved in the game. He won 0 out of his 5 ground duels. Again, it felt at times like he was being a little bit bullied, and he needed to show some more physicality, but he did create 3 chances, so he laid on 3 shots, which I think shows you that some of the stuff he did do, he was doing with quality, but he could have showed a little bit more for me. But again, doesn't matter. Worked his socks off like everybody else did. And he put in a big effort against Luton, hadn't he, in the last game, and maybe that told a little bit in his performance. Maybe he's a little bit tired. But again, yeah, it doesn't matter. Liverpool won the game. And Harvey Elliott, sort of similarly, some of the things he tried didn't maybe come off, and he was getting moved around a lot. He was in the front three, then he had to drop back to midfield. So he was kind of quiet, really, on the attacking side of things. He does have 3 shots. 1 decent chance I remember him missing, where he gets the ball at the back stick and maybe should do better, and 1 chance created, but he wins 6 out of 9 ground duels, which just shows you he was all over, sort of working hard, trying to fill gaps. And sometimes, he's not, even when he's in midfield, he's not a player who maybe wins tackles or is involved in a lot of tackles, but he runs back a lot to sort of cover spaces and cover up and block passing lanes, and he did a lot of that today. Again, another one who worked his socks off, and absolutely his work rate was a massive part of the fact that Liverpool were able to consistently get a foothold in the game. So no criticism from me of the way Harvey Elliott played, that's for sure. Even if Liverpool's attack wasn't absolutely flying today, and maybe they could have beat Chelsea quite handily if they'd had Salah and Núñez on the pitch, I'd still say that the lads in that front three did not disgrace themselves, because they absolutely worked their socks off and helped protect Liverpool and help helped keep the team solid really across the 120 minutes, and that is a big part of why Liverpool ended up winning the game. Now, I'll just go through the subs quickly now because there's quite a lot of them, and they had a big influence on the game for me. Now, Joe Gomez, I thought maybe not his best game. He only completes 72% of his passes and wins 1 out of 6 of his ground duels. Kind of similar to Robertson in that way, in the sense that I felt that Liverpool, they kind of missed. When Chelsea did create, it was kind of sometimes they looked most likely to create something down the sides. That was where Chelsea were handiest, and that's why the fullbacks maybe look in the numbers like they had a bit of a torrid time. But they kept sticking to the task. They kept making sure that the crosses that came in, they were putting enough pressure on to try and make it difficult for them. So again, as I say, Joe Gomez is thrown in unexpectedly in this game, and I thought he does a job for Liverpool. He can do it on both sides, can't he? And he's thrown into a difficult situation and helps them win, helps them keep a clean sheet. So again, not too much criticism for him there, you have to say. And next up, to talk about Bobby Clark. He was the earliest of the kids to sort of come on, and it was kind of a bit of a messy performance in terms of his pass completions, around 50%. So he can do better than that. We know he's got more quality than that. He can use the ball better, and I'm sure he will going forward. But he was involved in 9 ground duels, which again I think sort of shows that he was busy. He was getting around the pitch. He was trying to cover things off, trying to make it difficult for Chelsea to build up, and that's absolutely what Liverpool needed. They needed more legs in the middle, they needed more legs in attack. So when Bobby Clark came on and did that, it was really, really helpful for them. Similarly, I thought Jayden Dan's, his work rate when he came on was great, and actually, as well as his work rate, he was tireless, being thrown into a really difficult situation, wasn't he? Obviously, he's only just made his debut in midweek, and he's then thrown into a Wembley Cup final, hoping to help Liverpool win it. He did everything he could in terms of physically getting the work rate and putting pressure on Chelsea forwards, not giving them a minute to rest on the ball. And he also sniffed out a couple of chances. Actually, there's one that gets fired across to him that if he can get a toe on it, there's almost a certain goal, and he gets a header that's the ball is headed across to him, gets up really well and forces a save from the keeper. So for a young kid being thrown into this situation, I don't think you can ask for much more than that. I thought he was really, really good. Just talk about a couple of the other subs as well now. James McConnell, I want to probably go more in depth on him than any of the other subs, because I thought he actually had a massive impact on Liverpool winning the game in the end, even though he came on about 3 minutes before the end of normal time, and I thought he was massive for Liverpool, because as I said with McAllister, I thought he was tiring towards the end, and as we were getting towards the end of the 90 minutes, I feel like Chelsea were really starting to threaten then, and it felt like going into extra time that, oh God, Chelsea had been so good in that period, they're probably going to continue this into extra time. But I think one of the big reasons they weren't was because McConnell comes onto the pitch, and I think he's really influential in sort of wrestling control back for Liverpool, because he just is a calm head in midfield. Now, he completes 87% of his passes, he's involved in 6 duels, but he also creates 3 chances as well. So he was using the ball really well, he was winning his duels. He was just allowing Liverpool to become more solid in midfield again. Because McAllister's legs had gone a little bit, they were starting to lose that towards the end of normal time. But extra time, I thought Liverpool were a better side across extra time in terms of controlling the game, certainly. He also takes a yellow from a counter-attack when one moment when it looks like Chelsea are about to get away, which is a really... I loved it, really. I thought it was a great yellow card to take. It was a cynical move, but it was exactly what you'd expect from an older head. And for him to have the presence of mind to just get a pull on the shirt and take the yellow in that situation, stop Chelsea getting a run on goal, I thought he just summed up his performance, which was intelligent and more than you would expect, really, from a player of his age. Absolutely brilliant. And as I say, McConnell, I'm sure the manager will tell him, I think he had a massive influence in Liverpool, wrestling control back of that game and going on to eventually win it. Now, 2 more subs to talk about. Jarell Quansah comes on sort of second half of extra time just to give Konate a rest, and kind of quiet, really. Didn't have a lot to do because, as I say, Chelsea weren't really pushing past that point. Thought Liverpool were getting control back, so he didn't have a lot to do. But his first touch was to drop the shoulder and lose a striker who was closing him down, which I thought sort of summed up his calmness and his brilliance as a player. He's been so massive for Liverpool today, and he's on the pitch there when Liverpool win a cup final, which he absolutely deserves. And the final sub is Kostas Tsimikas, who, for me, I've said on this channel before, I thought when he came in for Andy Robertson this season that he's almost underrated by some supporters, and at the end of the day he gets the assist here for the winner in a cup final. He's already scored a winning penalty in a cup final for Liverpool. He's a brilliant backup left back, and again, massive moment for him in a big game here, and it, really deserves huge credit for that, for coming on and contributing in the way that he did. Now, that's my summary of the performances today and how I thought the players played. Please do let me know in the comments what you thought of the performance. How good were Liverpool there? What a brilliant battling performance. I'm sure everybody's absolutely made up with what they've seen, and would be gutted to know that Jurgen Klopp's leaving at the end of the season, because days like these under him just seem to come regularly, don't they? He's an absolutely incredible manager, an incredible man, and he's added another trophy to that Champions Wall now. So what an incredible day for Liverpool that was. As I say, let me know in the comments what you thought and what you think, where Liverpool are up to now in this quadruple push. Can they do it? Interested to know what you guys thought. And also, please, if you can drop me a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, it really helps me in terms of getting these videos out to Liverpool fans. And I think I'll sign off there with, as I say, the joyous sort of reflection on the fact that Liverpool were absolutely brilliant. They've battled to a fantastic cup win, and that is leg 1 of possibly 4 in a quadruple push over. Can they do it? We'll have to see.